Shabbat Shalom. So, how are you faring through these challenging and anxiety-provoking times? There is so much to be worried about. There's a certain kind of intensity about life right now. It's as if we're trying to stay steady while the ground keeps shifting beneath us. At times, we might even find ourselves wishing for this moment to be behind us. Who wouldn't want to skip past difficult times? To have things feel easier, to be in a more golden, peaceful, joyful time in the world. We may find ourselves looking to numb the harshness around us, escaping into small distractions. And for the most part, these are harmless, even helpful, giving us moments to steady ourselves as we move in and out of what causes us anxiety and pain. But taken to the extreme, the desire to escape can distance us from the experiences and growth that we're meant to encounter. Recently, I read an article in the Times about 3 people who have fallen in love with AIs. Characters they created to act like supportive human companions. Each person's story was one of hardship and isolation, leading them to turn to the online world for solace. In this space, they developed deep feelings towards these AI-crafted characters. For these individuals, the quest to escape the hardships of life was that strong. It was that intense that they retreated into an entirely alternative and fictional world rather than face the weight of their particular circumstance. Yet difficulties and challenges play a role in every life. It's part of what it means to be human. This week's Torah portion is named Chayei Sarah, the life of Sarah, our matriarch. And at first glance, this title seems to be a misnomer, as the Torah portion is not at all about Sarah's life, but rather her death. It begins, Sarah's lifetime was 127 years, the years of Sarah's life. And that is all we hear about Sarah in this entire portion, until the very end when she is mentioned again just in passing. She is such an important figure in the Torah, and yet we get almost no details about her at the end of her life. We just read one scant verse detailing how many years she lived. No comments on her character or the quality of her years. What a strange ending to Sarah's life. This puzzled our sages for centuries, and Rashi, looking for more, draws our attention to a detail in the verse. He notices the repetition of the word years. When we read, Sarah's lifetime was 127 years, the years of Sarah's life. And he interprets this repetition as meaningful, resolving the question of why nothing more is said about her life. He states that the reason for the word years, the reason it's repeated, is to claim that all of her years were equally good. Equally good? Really? It seems like a big stretch to read all of this in simply the repetition of one word. And at first glance, it also seems to be a fairly preposterous claim. After all, Sarah's life was marked with tragedy, difficulty, and hardship. Let us not forget that she was taken into a foreign king's palace and forced by Abraham's fear to pretend that she was his sister instead of his wife. Twice. God promises her a son, and she lives through decades of silence, waiting for a child who did not come until she was in her 90s. And when she finally tries to take control of her own future by giving Hagar to Abraham, she sets off a chain of events that divides up her household. And finally, her husband takes her one and only son, Isaac, on a journey to ostensibly sacrifice him, shortly after which we learn about her death. The Midrash imagines that Sarah dies of a broken heart after she learns about Abraham's act. It even goes so far as to claim that Sarah was wrongly told that Isaac was actually killed on the mount and not saved at the last minute. In any event, Sarah's life was not one filled with joy. It was a life of disruption, anxiety, dangerous predicaments, longing, waiting, marked by deep grief and anguish. So what could Rashi mean by saying that every year, even the hard ones, were equally good? Let's put that question aside a moment and look at our own lives. Aren't our experiences a lot like Sarah's? No one gets through life without illness, loss, and heartbreak. We have good years and bad years. Are our days equally good? It doesn't seem that way. We may find instead that there are many times in life we just want to get through, to put the moment at hand behind us and to get to the other side. If Rashi could look at Sarah's life and say that all the years were equally good, surely he would say the same of ours, of any life. Perhaps Rashi's teaching is that good means something deeper than ease, something closer to meaning, presence, and sacred possibility. Rashi's comment seems to be more about the nature of life and of time. Every day that we find ourselves blessed enough to be among the living, in some essential way, is a good day. Even in moments of great challenge, we are still alive, we still have breath, and things can change. In his book, Meditations for Mortals, author Oliver Burkeman writes, "It can be alarming to realize just how much of life gets shaped by what we're actively trying to avoid. Behind our urge to race through every obstacle or challenge in an effort to get it dealt with, there's usually the unspoken fantasy that you might one day finally reach the state of having no problems whatsoever. What if we did not seek to bypass the hard moments or treat them as obstacles to be removed, but rather as integral to the full texture of a life? The sleepless nights beside a loved one's hospital bed, the waiting for the news, the grief, all of it is life. In other words, we cannot wish time away. It's all we have. And in a sense, all of it equally good. These moments, joyful or painful, are part of what makes us ourselves. How we respond to the challenging times, how we grow and move through and after them, all of this becomes a part of our DNA. There's no way to escape it. Turning away from hardship doesn't make it disappear. Our work is to draw on our inner strength and resilience and to grow as we move through it. At the end of this Torah portion, Sarah is mentioned just one more time when we read, "Isaac brought Rebekah into the tent of Sarah, his mother. He took Rebekah and she became his wife, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after the death of his mother." The tent had stayed empty after Sarah's death, but was now filled with promise. And there's a symmetry here. Death gives way to renewal, and absence gives way to presence. The love that Isaac builds with Rebekah doesn't erase his sorrow, it transforms it, weaving continuity beyond what had been broken. Life is about the moments we have and how these shape us. Even the hard seasons can give rise to insight, compassion, and quiet strength. The Torah reminds us every one of our days is holy. The measure of a life isn't in its ease, but in the love and meaning that endure. Shabbat Shalom.